Welcome to my presentation. I am Sheikh Saydul. My class ID is GR879. My presentation topic is the impacts of major events of 1966 on the struggle for independence of Bangladesh. Bangladesh is a small country of South Asia and became an independent state in 1971, and it became independent from West Pakistan from in 1971, the independence of Bangladesh is the final stage of some historical sequential events. For mention that the 1947 it became independent as East Pakistan with West Pakistan, and the historical language movement in 1952. The election of 54 of United Front, and the historical movement against the Education Act in 1962, and the glorious movement of 6-point movement in 1966, and the Agartala conspiracy case in 1968, and the 69th mass movement, and election of 1970, and finally the independence of Bangladesh in 1971. And all the events of all the events have very strong impact on the struggle for independence of Bangladesh in 1971, especially the historical event of 1966. To say more simply, that 6-point demand movement was very important, and it had significant impact on the independence of Bangladesh in 1971. Here my main objective is to evaluate the importance of the major events happened in East Pakistan in 1966, which had impact on the strategy on the struggle for independence of Bangladesh. All the events of 1966 are influenced by the 6-point demand, so I will mainly focus on the 6-point movement. I have collected some information and data from Daily Ittefaq, Daily Azadi, and Daily Awaz, and I also collected some data from various resources. The glorious historic 6-point demand, or the 6-point formula, was widely known as the Charter of Freedom from the Pakistan's domination. The 6-point demand is also known as the Magna Carta of Bangladesh. Indeed, it was the turning point of our independence. There are many social, political reasons for emergence of the 6-point demand, especially during the war of 1965. East Pakistan became completely isolated from the rest of the world. East Pakistan had no military defense and security, while the Pakistani ruler was kept them busy in securitizing their western front, like Kashmir and the Pakistani Punjab. And this reluctance and indifference of West Pakistani to East Pakistan's security and economic development and other social and political reasons created the ground for 6-point demand. As an unavoidable consequence, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman raised the historic 6-point demand as the charter for economic, political, and social emancipation for the exploitation and the Pakistani colonial system, state system. To say more briefly, in the early February in Lahore, Sheikh Mujib declared the 6-point in a conference of opposition parties. In the 23rd of March, it was declared by Awami League officially, and later it was endorsed by Awami League. After that, the Ayub regime reacted violently and started massive oppression and suppression. Most of the political party reacted negatively. Even the political party from East Pakistan did not support this demand. Even many of the political leaders thought that 6-point is the termination of political career of Sheikh Mujib, and it will be the graveyard for the Awami League as a political party. The 6-point demand was the demand of mass people. It was the consequence of a previous movement, and it was the result of Pakistani atrocities and exploitation, and it will not be so exaggerated if it is said that the a six-point movement and its precursors are of later mass movement of 1969, which collapsed the Ayub Shahi regime and made the landslide victory for Awami League. And we can say that the six-point demand was the real start point of our struggle for self-determination and self. This was the systematic and well-organized direction for the Bengali people what to do or what not to do or how to do. And it is also may mention that the six-point demand was the bridge from autonomy to independence of Bangladesh and Bengali nation. Immediate after the declaration of a six-point demand program had been Ayub Khan and its regime declared six-point demand as a secessionist activities and denounced Sheikh Mujibur Rahman as the enemy of number one enemy of Pakistan, and Ayub Khan also threatened to use all possible means of force to suppress this charter of demand, but Awami League and especially the Sheikh Mujibur Rahman remained fearless by this threat. Then the leader of six-point movement, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, was arrested several times, and then the six-point demand was started. Six-point demand was started a 3-month-long massive protest when they started to oppress the Awami and Awami League supporters and the supporters of six-point movement, and several times they arrested Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, and after that Awami League started a long-scale protest throughout the whole country. Mujib was arrested 8 times in the first 3 months of six-point movement. By then, Bangabandhu had become the president of Awami League. He was finally thrown into jail in May 8, 1966. And a general strike was observed all over the East Pakistan in support of a six-point program and for the release of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. Police fired in Tezgaon, Tongi, Narayanganj, and they killed more than 13 people. All these measures taken place by Ayub Khan regime proved that counterproductive, and six-point became the heartfelt demand of common people. Students' activities and the mass people's activities is very much notable, and thus the political situation of East Pakistan became extremely dangerous and volatile, and it became a all-out mass movement against the Ayub Khan regime. And to say the impact of the six-point movement on the struggle of the independence of 1971, it is fair to say that the six-point movement was the pioneer of the collapse of Ayub Khan regime. The general election in 1971 and the landslide victory of Awami League and the 9-month-long liberation war in 1971 and the finally emergence of Bangladesh as an independent nation state in December 16 December in 1971. It was the final consequence of a six-point movement. Doubtlessly, we can say that these events are the milestone and the history of Bangladesh struggle for freedom and independence, and these events are fueled by the six-point demand. There is no doubt that Sheikh Mujib was the main and most influential leader of that time, and he would be remain the top leader even if he never led or declared the six-point movement. But if there had been no six-point movement in 1966, and there is a doubt that there will be no Agartala conspiracy case, there will be no mass movement for the release of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman and against the Agartala conspiracy case, and there is doubt that without the 1966 six-point movement, there is a huge doubt that there would be no 1969 mass movement taken place. So we can say that the six-point movement is the pioneer of Agartala conspiracy case and the 1970s landslide victory of Awami League in its general election, and Sheikh Mujib, and as a consequence of 1966 six-point movement, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, the Bangabandhu, became the legitimate spokespersons of our country, and Sheikh Mujib leads Bangladesh struggle for full-blown independence. By realizing the goals of a six-point formula, we can say that it was the crucially important for the independence of Bangladesh, and we can say that the impacts of the six-point movement is very much important, and by evaluating it, we can say that the six-point movement was the pioneer of our independence. And that's all from my presentation.